My name is Dr. Karmen Smith. Thank you for coming. My mom was Kanzetta Harris, and the Kanzetta Harris House is named after her. I'm so privileged and proud and honored to be a part of the Swope family. So thank you. And thank you for organizing this. This is phenomenal. You did a phenomenal job. Let me just start out by giving you a little outline. I'm a therapist, a trauma specialist. I work in Las Vegas, Nevada. I work for Clark County Family Services. I work with abused and neglected children in a shelter where they bring the abused and neglected children there before they transport them and find placement and foster care. So I triage, I assess, and I also assess the biological parents to see if they are capable or what kind of services that they need to have their children back. So I'm a trauma specialist, and I've been in the field for about 25 years. So I'm coming from a trauma lens, but I'm also coming from a spiritual lens because my doctorate is in divinity and non-denominational. Spirit is spirit, and you'll understand when I'm talking where I'm coming from. I've studied all the religions of the world, and I have seen all of the religions as how to heal from trauma. And so I'd like to share some of those insights with you today. I'd like to start off by talking a little bit about my mom and her personality, because there's many people here that never worked with her, never heard about her, but I'd like to share her heart with you because I think that's important. Then I'd like to go into some of the content of the book and just briefly talk about the content, because I go into more detail obviously in the book, but I'd like to give an overview. And then I'd like to explain to you what's possible. And we definitely need to change this world, and it starts with us. It's not about looking outward and saying, oh, that person needs to change, and that person is bad, and that person is evil. It's about looking within ourselves and seeing what we can clean up ourselves. And so I'd like to talk about that and how powerful that is. And then I'd like to also share with you a song that my sister sang. I have two sisters. They couldn't be here today. One is in New York and one is in Australia. But they send their love your way. And then at the end, I'd like to have some Q&A, a short Q&A. Doesn't have to be anything extensive, but if you have any comments or questions, we'd like to give you an opportunity to share that. So let me start out by talking about my mom. Now, my mom was the typical mom. She got on my nerves. And I was a teenager, and she would come home from her social work practice, and she was also on call. And she worked with abused and neglected children. She worked with domestic violence. You name it, she worked with it. She was a social worker. And she would come home and share these stories to a teenager that could care less. And one time she said to this 14-year-old, she said, you know, I got to go to the hospital. It was like 10 o'clock at night. This family that I'm working with, the husband knocked this woman out. She's really injured. She's in the hospital. And I think the police took him to jail. And she said, and bless his heart. And I said, oh, Mom, you mean bless her heart. She's the one that's in the hospital. And she said, no, bless his heart. Because nobody starts out as a baby, as a toddler, saying, I want to beat up the one that I love. This person is not himself. This person is showing behaviors that he himself doesn't like. And I've got to bless his heart, because unless I see him the way God sees him, I can't help him. If I see him as an ass, as a violent offender, how am I going to help that guy? I've got to see him the way he was created originally, because that's who he is. And until I can view him that way, I can't help him. And it starts with a blessing. And so she would always start with a blessing. And it wasn't the person that you thought you normally bless. It was the person that you thought you were supposed to hate or dislike or have something against. So that was my mom's heart. And before she passed away, she designed the Kanzetta Harris House for mentally ill men, where they could use it as a halfway house so they could have medication and have a job where they could have self-esteem, where they could have a place to call their own. And so she saw them as being whole, and she created something that would facilitate that wholeness. And she passed away before it was built. But her heart is there. And thank you, Swope family, for continuing that legacy of compassion. Thank you. So what I just talked about, if you're not there yet and that sounded really foreign and it wasn't how you were raised, because our culture tells you that that's the bad guy over there, they're wearing the black hat, they've got the black skin or whatever it is, and these people are nicer, they've got the white hat, they're going to come save the day, and we have come up with this good and evil in our society. What I'd like to do today is challenge that and maybe tear that down a little bit. And that's what I do in the book, The I Am Solution. So how do we get to this good and evil thing that we have in society? And how do we forget who we are? Because I really do believe, and I know this to be true, that we are born loving. We are born precious. We are born just full of ourselves and wanting to explore, and this world is beautiful. Then something happens in our lives, whether it's our family, whether it's something happens. And then we start to see ourselves as we're not good enough, I'm separate than you. And that's where the problems come about. It's through our fear. And we accumulate fear the longer we're on this planet and we listen to our culture, our parents, and all this other stuff. And there's such another way. So, real quickly, I love this picture because it's Superman, but there's nothing there. It's like there's no S there. So we are super people, but we just don't know it. So trauma has an insidious effect on our self-concept. And when I'm talking about trauma, I'm not necessarily talking about growing up being hit all the time. I'm talking about if you've ever gone through a divorce, that's trauma. If you've ever lost a child, if you've ever lost somebody that's close to you, that can be traumatic. So think of it in your own life, what kind of trauma you've experienced. And trauma has an insidious effect on our self-concept. Let me give you an example. Sometimes when you go through a divorce, you say to yourself, well, I wasn't good enough. I wasn't skinny enough. He didn't like the way I looked. Don't sometimes we do that? And that does a number on our self-esteem, on our self-identity. And by the way you look has nothing to do with who you are. What's on your driver's license, your name, has nothing to do with who you are. Traumatic events can change who we are, and trauma causes our identity to shift from victim or victor to victim. When you're a victim, you feel powerless. When you're a victor, you're Superman, right? You can do anything. You just won, you're a victor. Further victimization experiences follow due to the energy vibration of victimhood. In other words, we create energy through fear. We create things to happen based on our fear. A lot of people think that things happen outside of us, and it's like, you've heard that saying, S-H-I-T happens. That's false. It starts with us, and we create based on what we're presenting in the world. We create what's going on outside. Isn't that a shift? Because if we think it's outside of ourselves, we're going to blame somebody. You know, it's your fault. You should have done, you. And she's sitting there going, well, I thought it was your fault. Well, I can't see me because I'm looking at you. But we should always look within ourselves because we are the creators. We're the master creators of the universe. We create what's going on outside of ourselves. When we're not aware of that, we blame other people. We blame situations. See, this is a whole different paradigm shift for some people because they don't realize how powerful they are. They're stuck in victimization, and it's your fault. When I'm empowered, it's like, gosh, you know, let's figure this out together because we've got to figure this one out. So that's why I created the human hamster wheel, because I wanted a visual so people could see, oh, that's why that happened. Oh, I did that. Or, oh, I can see how so-and-so did that based on the way she thinks. Okay, well, yeah, I have compassion for her. You see how that works? Not only do you have compassion for yourself, once you understand how it works, you have compassion for other people because you understand how they were probably thinking at the time. So the human hamster wheel, these events happen, it turns into hurt. When hurt is not met with compassion, it turns into anger, it turns into rage, and it can turn into depression. Let me say that again, because this is Mental Health Week. We need to know how powerful compassion is. When we experience these events, we're hurt. But when we're not met with compassion when we're hurt, it turns into depression, it turns into anger and rage, because nobody understood. Nobody sided with me. I'm going to go into a little bit deeper about that. No, I've got to go into it now because I'm feeling it. The reason it hurts me that you don't understand is that you are me. There's only one spirit. There's only one light. When we think we're separate than another person, this really creates an anger and a division and a divisiveness. When I know that you are me, you are a reflection of me, there is no separation, and you're not feeding me with that compassion, then that's where I feel like I'm cut off. There's a division there. Oh, that's deep. That's deep. Because if we truly got that as a society, as a culture, the world would be so much different. So what do you practice? You practice, and this is in your book, the 5-pointed star. We're all made of stardust, so this is easy to remember. Love is our primary goal of being on this planet. End of story. End of lecture. That's unconditional love, not based on your behavior. It's based on who you are. You're me. I see you as whole. Yes, you're doing this and you're doing that. And yeah, that's not good, but I see the other you too, and you're not doing that. So yeah, I have compassion for you. It's coming from fear. I've had fear once. Sometimes it crops up. I get rid of fear. It'll do the same in you. You see how that's different? Then I've got to fix you. You know, you're just, you're precious. Wait a minute, let me pick up somebody else. You know, but do you see the difference? Yes. Because we have that critical, judgmental mind, and we want to fix everybody, and you're just horrible, you're evil, and I put you in that category over here. No, when you do that, do you realize what you're doing to yourself? Okay, so I'm going to pick on you in the pink. You're precious too. But so if I don't like you, and I have this resentment towards you, what I'm doing is I'm cutting off of me. I am diminishing me. And we don't know that on a conscious level. We think that you're you, that you have nothing to do with me. So if I hate you, that's fine. I don't have to see you. That's a delusion. What I'm doing is there was a blessing right here, but I couldn't see it because I was so right here. And the blessing was over here, but I'm right here. I can't see it. We don't realize what we do to ourselves. There is a spiritual realm that is always giving, giving, giving. And when we When we are limited and myopic, and we believe that I am separate than you, and I'm divided from you, I can't get what I'm supposed to get to give to you. So this, do you see how this is a collective? What I do to you has an effect on you. That is magic, okay? And when we are limited in what we can give, it'll stop the blessing from here, that we're all connected. So when I work on myself and I clear this energy and forgiveness and I have compassion, I can see my view is bigger. And then I'll have this blessing to give to you over there, and you will give it to you over there. You see, we're all connected. But when we hold on to stuff for years, even people that are in the grave already, it stops our blessing, but not only ours, yours too. So that's why it's the I am solution. It's not about fixing somebody else. It's making sure that I'm who I'm supposed to be, who I am. And then it can't help but filter out to my family. I feel like there should be an amen after that. Amen? Amen. Okay, all right. Just checking in. Be grateful for everything that's happened in your life because it has led you here. I don't care if it's a dysfunctional family, if it was a drug addiction, whatever it is, be grateful for it. It's all in the arc of learning. Once you have incorporated that dysfunction or whatever it is that happened in your life, and this is good for mental illness too, you are able to, that energy will help somebody else. So domestic violence. If I was in a domestic violence situation, forgave my partner, found the empowerment within myself, without blaming, all that kind of stuff, and then you're going through a domestic violence situation, you'll be gravitated toward me, and then I will be able to share or sit there and say nothing. But you will feel the healing within yourself. That's magic, people. That's what Jesus did, that's what Buddha did, that's what we can all do. But we have to work on ourselves, have that vibrational energy of healing. And people will say, well, I don't know what to say to her. Well, if you've done your work, all you have to do is sit next to her, be in the same vicinity, send a love blessing to her, touch her hand, walk out the room. Seriously, that gave me goosebumps because it shows how powerful we are. We forget. We get dummied down. Don't get me started. Okay. Acceptance of people. Acceptance. You're me. Yeah, I know you're going through that. Yeah, I know you did that. Yeah, I've been there too. Yeah, okay. But we don't make the negative like the biggest thing in the room. It's not. That's behavior. The biggest thing in the room is that you are a God being. You are a light particle. You are powerful. That's the biggest thing in the room, but we forget. Trust that the universe has your back. There's a loving energy around you, around everybody. Trust that it's there. Everybody's a healer, but specifically dealing with the mental health population. I have to see that person as whole. Yes, they have schizophrenia. Yes, they are very violent, whatever. But I have to see that person as whole in front of me in order to be a healer. So oftentimes we will focus on the negative, what they did, what they can't do. And what you're doing is, since we're powerful beings, you're solidifying that. We see it, but we also see them as whole. And oftentimes I will talk to the whole person, to the healed person, knowing that that energy is healing. But you have to do it with yourself first. Everything that I'm talking about, it starts with us. So whatever we see within ourselves, we see ourselves as whole. Yes, that happened in my life. But I came through it, and I'm wonderful, and I'm precious, and I'm talented. And only when you can do it to yourself can you give it to others. So it's like that Tai Chi move. That's what that movement means. You have it within yourself, you give it out to others. Self, others. It's not, I'm gonna fix you, and I'm broken inside. We're gonna have a whole bunch of broken people. That's not how it works. In this time that we're living in, we need to wake up. We need to wake up that we have the power within us to change what is outside of us.
And I was really impressed with their talk, especially about forgiveness. I think that's very important.
My name is Clara. I'm an outreach case manager at Rediscover, working with the mentally ill. So this was really enlightening because it's just hard sometimes to look at things in a positive perspective when you see nothing but trauma everywhere. So good job.
My name is Wendy Shearhart. I work with Rediscover Mental Health, and I'm an outreach case manager for the hospital diversion program. My take from today is I thought it was pretty awesome. I'm have often feel kind of by myself out there. I'm a person who's always said that a pimp needs help too. He's been hurt or he wouldn't be there. And he has great skills because he's a master salesman, right? So I've always been kind of that fighting for the underdog and looking for all the good things that they have. So this was really refreshing to hear somebody else's take that was kind of in line with my ideas.
My name is Shanisha McKay. I am a community support specialist at Swope Health Services, and I thought the presentation was very, very, very good. I've never been to anything like this before. The thing that I will walk away with most is her steps in learning how to forgive by showing compassion and viewing people as the whole person. The forgiveness piece has kind of been a struggle in my everyday life right now, unfortunately, but I think following her tips and definitely reading her book, I think that will help me because I do want to do better with that, and I think that would make me be a better person overall. I thought she did very well. I liked it a lot.
Hi, my name is Carla Lee, and I am a social worker at Swope Health Services, and I loved what I learned about fear and how the fear that we have inside of us can basically put us on a vibration that's a little bit lower, but if we don't fear, then we can be on a higher vibration and we can help others. And also, what I took away from this is that if I fix who I am inside, then I'm able to fix the people, not even fix, but help the people that I work with.